德国乐迷闲了半年多，他们还有好多话想说，说说他们自己喜欢的，管他有没有人听过。德国乐迷
心中之最。
Hi Max.
Hello.
What is this?
Autumn time.
It's already winter here in China.
We also practically have winter. It's so cold.
We all have this, how to say it?
Warm bottle. We say
Warm
it,
bottle.
Yeah, warm bottle.
Julian. I'll be back in a second.
Sure.
Okay. Yay, great.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, hi. Hello. And her name is Roxy.
Yes, Roxanne. Yeah, because she talks a lot, and she sounds like the song from the Police.
Roxanne.
How's Vilma, by the way?
Good. She's here under the table.
Oh, hi, Vilma. Hello. Oh, that's great.
Go away. Hello. So I am actually still a little bit ill. I think now in Germany everyone is getting sick because like through 2020 everyone was like doing distancing and mask and like super hygiene and everything. And now that like the immune systems of everyone kind of turned down because of that, it is expected to be like the highest influenza and sickness winter ever.
Good that we don't need to go back.
Yes. 嗨，大家好，我是表情银行的思雨。
Hey， 大家好，我是表情银行的通通。
Hi, I'm Julian.
Hi, I'm Max.
What's our topic today?
Most memorable video game music.
Most unforgettable video game music.
I have only one question before everything. How do you guys make your choices today?
Based on
what?
For me, it's music that is literally ingrained in my brain. I have really shitty hearing and I can't hit a tone, but some of the music from Ocarina of Time is so ingrained in my brain that I can use it to get pretty close to, for example, tuning a guitar.
So for me, I basically thought about video game music in two kind of ways. So one would be just generally good music, generally good, enjoyable sound, and then music that just fits perfectly into the game or into the game moment.
Okay, should we start to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Last time was Julian, so maybe this time Max start.
I think Tongtong should start. He didn't start yet.
Yeah, maybe also makes sense.
Yeah, maybe we could also start. So we start with a very memorable experience that we both had.
Oh,
We
yeah.
played the game FEZ together. Do you know FEZ?
You all played it? Play
No.
it!
Okay.
There's like one single moment in this whole game that really stood out. The composer of this music covered one of Chopin's Prelude and used like sort of an 8-bit kind of style to convey a certain type of emotions. This scene was very impressive to us. We had goosebumps. Pretty hard to explain because it's just pure art. It's the end of the game. It had a really long sequence. This game is about how 2D world can interact with a 3D world.
It's really deep.
It's pretty deep. It's like going into another dimension, sort of.
It
coming
feels like
back.
a little bit like Interstellar, like 3D people like us going into the fourth dimension. And this is like a 2D little boy goes to the 3D world. I think it's kind of the same level complicated emotion in this ending.
And this whole sequence is accompanied by this very emotional, touching music created by the artist called Disaster Piece. All his works are very emotional. Like I would even say hyper emotional. If you play this game, you feel very relaxed and very joyous. You also have this feeling that there's something deeper than just this kind of childish layout.
It looks childish.
And it is also conveyed in the music that this deeper sense is in there. He uses a lot of 8-bit music because he's a chiptune artist. So everything is very chiptune-like. But he uses a lot of reverb effects, very mysterious harmonies to convey this deeper message that he wants to say. And this is also music that you can just listen on its own.
I think this is the only video game soundtrack I would listen out of this video game context. I don't know why. I listened to it, I think, at least 100 times.
It's really, really good. You can listen from the beginning to the end. It never gets boring. Like there's not one single bad track on this whole soundtrack. It's very enjoyable.
Highly recommended, guys.
I can only tell you a fun fact. The creator of FEZ was super depressed and almost destroying himself by creating the game because it took like 6 years and he gave everything.
We saw the documentary.
Dark space. The documentary, I think he's one of the indie game origin stories, right?
Yes.
Damn it! Like even the start new game, it starts a bugged out game that doesn't work. I need to restart the computer like practically every time somebody's done playing. It's a disaster.
Oh, really?
It's a complete fucking disaster.
I think only 2 people made this game, like Phil, the creator, and another programmer, I guess. And the third guy is this composer, Disaster Piece.
Yeah, the composer, yeah.
Unbelievable. And the mechanic of this game is unbelievably good. It plays like a Nintendo game. The way the characters move, everything is so smooth.
Okay, who goes second?
I can do it.
Yeah, okay.
So my number 3, and I really like the
number 3?
Oh, did you start with your favorite one?
I mean, it's not favorite one, it's just my top 3. They are equally good.
No particular order?
In no particular order.
Okay, my first one in no particular order
Okay.
is Portal 2. And I really like the song at the end of the game. It's called Cara Mia Addio, which is a made-up language that the singer for the song just made up on the go because she thought it sounded like what an Italian opera would sound like. The Cara Mia Addio is when you beat the game and you beat GLaDOS, you step into this elevator and it carries you up to these 5 drones, and the 5 drones start to just making sounds at first. They do these beeping sounds, and then they get harmonized and it becomes an accompaniment. And then there's this opera voice singing.
Oh.
It's a really good song. And it's this opera-style song that has a motif that plays a lot endemically in the game. It's just a really good song on its own. Like, it gives me goosebumps when I hear it. And I think it really elevates the ending, because the Portal ending is like kind of meh. It's not very satisfying. But the song just makes it so much better, because the song gives it like this feeling of like a journey ending, and it adds so much to the game, which story-wise really doesn't give that much with the ending.
Now it's Max's turn. Huh?
It's Wilma with her tongue on the couch.
Oh yeah.
Tongue is always poking out. Yeah, okay, so I didn't really do any kind of ordering. I gave them more like topics. So this would be the topic, the most memorable video game moment in connection with the music. And it would be in my, I guess, in the top 3 favorite games of mine, which is Dark Souls.
Of course.
Of course. In this game, you don't have any background music, only in the boss fight. So I guess the second most memorable music moment would be when you encounter your first boss and suddenly you get this kind of epic choir orchestral soundtrack to accompany like this boss fight, which is also very epic, this moment. But then the moment that I'm talking about is actually the the final boss, so the last boss fight. You kind of have to imagine the backstory. You know, you played this game. The game is very difficult. You kind of grind it through. You had this long road that you traveled there, and the final boss is in this like whole kind of space. It's made out of ash, so everything's like white, and you have like a long path to him. Yeah, so there are also some enemies, so you're still fighting. You're fighting your way through in this ash palace. And then you come into the room, and it's this kind of ruin of ash. And the boss is the king, the Gwyn, the lord of Cinder. And he is like the keeper of the first flame. This is the story. But the first flame has died out, which is why everything is ashes. And he is this old, withering king. And then you come in, and then the music comes in. But the music this time is just this like quiet, somber piano piece.
Yeah.
Because he's not really, you know, this epic boss. He's this old king who's kind of doing his last breath to defend his kingdom, but he can't really. It's also not very difficult. This, of course, can vary how you build or how you play the game and what kind of skills you have learned until then. But for most players, he's not a very difficult boss, and I think he's also intended to not be very difficult. This is kind of anticlimactic point of this like very hard game and long road to come to this point where you basically is kind of, it gets handed over to you as kind of a reward for all your hard work. I think when I was there, I was like, wow, so perfect. This ending is so great and just fitting for the game.
Oh, so the boss is not very hard.
No, he's kind of pathetic. Like, you kind of pity him. And it's also kind of like he represents your future.
Yes.
Like, this is where you will end up.
You basically decide to become him in a way. You have to, when you beat him, you have the decision to either walk away and let the kingdom, the flame die, or to rekindle the flame, the new first flame.
My Lord, bless thy safe return. Let Garth and Fraft serve your highness. We are here to serve your highness.
And then you become basically the lord of the flame. But both decisions are like not really good. Both are like, okay, you've done your achievement.
Let true God be cast upon the world. Our world returns.
Okay, move on to you.
Okay. My second choice is from the Final Fantasy series, especially from the game Final Fantasy VIII. The title of the song is Bellum Garden. It's a game that influenced me a lot. It's the first game that I bought with my own money from back in 1999. It was at a time when I wasn't really doing good in school, and I had also very family problems back in the days. And that game gave me kind of a break from all the stuff that was happening in reality. And it was also the first game where I was able to immerse myself completely into the game. It's a single player game, you know, you have to be alone to play it. You don't really play it with friends. And that was enjoyable for me.
And it's influenced you to loving piano again?
Yes. The composer of this piece is called Nobuo Uematsu. He's a very famous composer in video game history. His pieces are all arranged for piano. Back in the days, I really hated the piano when I was 12 or 13. At that time, I really hated it.
Because you guys are like watching MTV together, then you have to play piano for half an hour.
Yeah.
We would watch this, we would eat the food, and you would tell me, yeah, okay, I can only do half an hour, then I have to play piano.
Yes, I was practicing Mozart and Beethoven, stuff like that, but I really didn't enjoy it for most of the time.
Yeah, you didn't have a connection.
No, I don't have a connection. And Final Fantasy music was something that I really loved.
I mean, Final Fantasy has a lot of really memorable songs. Like probably the easiest pick would be the Sephiroth theme because it's so memed. There's probably people who would recognize the Sephiroth theme without ever having played any Final Fantasy games because it like seeped into other types of media and in internet culture in general.
I mean, Final Fantasy is also a case where you don't have really a bad track.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will say my DNA is moving right now. On Damu.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add, like back in the days where you have hardware limitations, you have entire songs, but they are based on loops. Most of the composers tend to write a really, really long loop because the tune itself doesn't get boring. So if you have a very short loop, it's very easy to get bored if you listen to it over and over and over again. Especially Final Fantasy, you can linger around in this world for hours without getting bored.
I guess you could say a very long loop is also called a song, right?
Yes. I mean, my point is, a song it has a start and an ending, but a loop, you start over again without having the feeling of you are outside of this emotion.
There's no ending, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then Julian, second one.
My second one in no particular order would be Secret of Mana, which is on my list the game I have played the least. I actually didn't play Secret of Mana that much, but after I've played it, like the music stayed with me. I just listened to the music like songs. I just really like some of the songs. And especially the song from the final boss fight, the Meridian Dance. It kind of gives me a feeling that I get from, like Protest the Hero songs, where I want to like put my finger to the crowd and make a fist and get a perm and wear shiny spandex and scream real loud. It also has like something I really enjoy with video game music, especially like active, like boss fight video game music, like this. It reminds me of like horse steps.
Okay, Max.
So I have neither played Secret of Mana nor a lot of Final Fantasy, or not really Final Fantasy. Party-based, turn-based, slow Japanese RPGs was never so much my style.
Except Pokemon.
Pokemon, yes.
Everyone played Pokemon.
It was a phase. So my pick is, of course, something completely different, but I want to say probably objectively the best video game soundtrack ever created. Mike Gordon's Doom and also later Doom Eternal soundtrack. So the first one would be Doom 2016, and there's the predecessor.
Postdecessor.
Yes,
Postdecessor, the postdecessor. I love metal, and I love glitch things, and this is just both of the things together. It's basically 9 Inch Nails on steroids. It's like when picking an example for the video, I was listening through the most of the songs again. It's just it's so good. It's so gritty. It's also not over the top metal. It's like let's do metal. And it's like really good. It's really subtle, but also very aggressive at times. And then this kind of electronic glitch turn. It only comes like later in the game. This music kind of blasts you through this game, and you're like jumping and killing and splashing, and it's just this one trip. And then at some point in the middle of the game, you encounter one like harder. I think it's not a boss, but it's like one like boss scene. And then suddenly you have this moment where the music comes in, then comes kind of glitch goes, and I was like, my dream. And also the thing I sent you, the choir. So they have the choir part and then also choir glitch parts, which is also, it's kind of, my secret music king. Glitch choir music with metal. The only other person who ever did this would be like Igor, if you know that music. What is also interesting to mention is we, of course, when talking about older games, you have this kind of loop parts and so on, what we talked about, or you talked about. But this game is more of a modular soundtrack, right? Because it fits to your actions. When you enter like an action scene, if you leave that, it would go back to a more calm, it's never really calm, but a more calmer state. All the parts are made so that they fit perfectly together.
There's a specific term for it.
Yeah, it's called adaptive music, and I think it's really underrated. I will send you a specific clip that I want you to play here. It's like a 10-second clip from the 2013 Killer Instinct remake, which is a fighting game that changes its music depending on the beats of your combo.
Do you know who wrote this music?
Mike
I don't know.
Guy.
Same guy.
Really? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and there's other examples, like for example, Banjo-Kazooie, which has a very interesting soundtrack where depending on the environment you enter, you get a different theme of the stage that you're in. But then when you, for example, dive underwater, there's a short transition and then the same theme plays in like a underwater soundscape kind of way. Because like a lot of games just use fade in and fade out, which is kind of boring.
Yeah. Okay, should we move on to the third one?
The third one.
Okay.
It's a classic. It's a absolute classic. Super Mario 64, the slider theme by Koji Kondo.
Oh.
You know, when you enter any slide level, you start.
What was it again? Can you hum it?
Da, 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 da.
That's great.
When you go to the Mario Wikipedia, there's a page for this song, and it is categorized under the genre Frantic Country.
Frantic Country?
Frantic Country. This is so nice.
Yeah, but it fits. It fits. I like it.
You know, there's this banjo track in the background. You know, there's this main melody and there's also a counter melody. So we have this main melody which is represented by a harmonica, da 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 da, and then we have the whistle, da 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 da. You know, it's like a call and response melody. There's also like a backing track in the background, which is supported by a banjo and also bass and the drum. And the banjo is like pure craziness, pure insanity what he plays. Like it's unbelievably fast. I really want to watch someone playing this live because it's so...
Is that possible? It's impossible.
Is Mario 64 already like real
No.
recorded music?
No, it's still sample-based MIDI music.
So no one had to actually record that banjo.
No one needs to. It's still programmed.
Let's search for. Is there anyone covering it on?
No,
YouTube?
I searched for it. There's no one cover this.
Here we go!
Okay, let's move on to Julian.
Yeah, my final one is Ocarina of Time. Like I said, it's just so ingrained in my brain. I also want to mention like a pretty niche kind of DIY release from I think 2011. There's like an EP that's called Ocarina of Rhyme, which is just sampled Ocarina of Time songs laid as beats under like already existing rap songs. And it's insane how well it fits. It's just, it works so well.
Long dick, slim nigga sticking your cheek. Pull tricks, looking slick at all times when I'm flipping. Bar sipping, car dipping, Grant Wood grain gripping.
The track that's my favorite one from the whole game, which also has this like kind of beat, is Gerudo Valley, aka I Buttered It Up.
I mean, I think Ocarina of Time really has this special moment in terms of music where you have this kind of meta music, right? There's the background music, but then there's music that you actually perform in the game,
Yes.
where you actually learn in a way how to play it. The buttons represent notes, and you repeat it, and you have to memorize it in order to do it in the game. If you play the Gerudo Village song, to me, I would instantly recognize it. But thinking about the songs that you play on the Ocarina, they are also like forever tattooed into my brain, basically. Like Epona's song, I performed them, right? Like literally hundreds of times by playing this super long game as a child, where you're more impressionable. It's kind of forever there.
Okay, whose turn now?
It's Max's turn. He's last.
Oh yeah, Max.
Yes. So I think my last pick is a little bit boring in a way.
No, it's not boring. No, absolutely
very-
not.
My topic in this case was like I couldn't get it out of my head, like stuck with me forever, and so I just had to pick the Tetris theme. It's just like the most memorable melody on the planet that has ever been created.
Let's sing it together.
I 1, 2, 3.
Roxy wants to
Join in.
sing with us.
I think the game also has this alternative version when there's this one game mode where you pick between C. The C theme. It's not as memorable, but it's also great. You know, I hope they shoot it to space. You know, we have the satellites that when alien encounters the human race, they try to showcase what we have created. It's like Beethoven and other artists and so on. I really hope they put this in there.
If I remember correctly, all the songs from Tetris are actually composed pieces from Russian composers, right? Like older pieces.
Yeah,
I think so,
I think
yes.
so. I mean, it's the most successful video game ever, and it's made by Russians. It's so crazy.
I have an honorable mention Russian game too. It's called Pathologic, and it's just a miserable experience. It's so topical because it's about a pandemic in like this early 20th century. It looked in the future, and they made the game that was so relevant right now. It's like a survival horror game. Fights kill you instantly. It's not fun to play. You have to walk a lot from A to B. It's mostly walking, and it has really atmospheric music.
It's also Russian. Oh man, I don't know why. Everything that relates to Russian game is very
Sad.
depressing and pathetic at some ways.
Yeah, well, because Russia is cold. I think this is the thing. It's when you're always cold, you're just sad. It's just a sad way of living.
Yeah, I think Max didn't finish.
Max,
let
please
Max
finish.
Continue.
Oh, I don't think there's a lot. I didn't research it. I also know that it comes from Russian compositions, and also the whole story of the game being never really sold. Like the creator never got any money from it and so on. But I mean, the melody is the melody. It's Tetris. When we do a concert with the band and we have to pack the car, it's the first thing you always do. You do the Tetris melody and you try to fit in all the things properly. It's just a piece of culture that in my life, and I think in a lot of people's life, like randomly coming up at some point where you pack things precisely.
Yeah, it's a syndrome called Tetris effect. People that are like obsessed with putting things into order like Tetris.
Yeah, I think you have this problem.
I think it's called OCD.
Yeah.
But by the way, there's another game called Tetris Effect. You know, there's this new game.
Oh yeah,
I saw it.
Yeah.
Really interesting music, also adaptive music. It's unbelievably meditative. You know, when you play it, you can play it for hours.
I think it's also like worth mentioning that Tetris still has a very active community.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Tetris. And we're off.
And they're off.
I think like there's still like new techniques being discovered
I recently saw
relatively
it.
recently.
Yeah.
Hyper tapping, which required you to tap your finger on the D-pad at around 12 times per second or faster, which obviously a lot of people can't do.
Where you take the controller the other way around, I think.
Exactly, you do a different controller grip to get a different type of advantage.
Cheese's grip holds his thumb still over the D-pad and rolls the fingers of his other hand across the bottom of the controller.
And there's this like new technique where people use these like triplets, where they use 3 fingers to to have this like triplet technique where they go like and they can move the thing really fast. It's almost like classical guitar technique, like tremolo.
Yeah, tremolo, yes.
Every speedrunning competitive old gaming community is whack.
It's so
wacky.
yeah,
Wack.
yeah, they're crazy.
Joseph with one more line needed. Joseph wins!
Okay, let's go over to our honorable mentions, I would say.
Yeah.
So I would just say both of my honorable mentions. The first one is Last of Us, not the main theme, but the menu theme. Do you guys remember?
Oh, interesting choice.
Because he just doesn't like enter the game always. He was just lingering in the menu. I was like,
Yeah, I mean after the yes, because the whole intro story was very intense and dramatic, and when you go into the menu screen, everything is quiet, everything is silent, and then you have this window, a gardina, or how do you say?
Blinds.
Yes, they are moving back and forth, and the light is shining. You have this casting shadow and light.
with this sad music, like melancholy, and also glimpse of hope, like very deep music.
You have to linger around. You have to stay there for a while before you enter the game. You know, it's just very, very good. Okay, my second honorable mention is Max Payne, a game that I also really, really loved back in the days when I was 12, when I wasn't allowed to play it because it's a game for older human beings. I was really scared to play it.
It was really intense.
Yeah, intense. And the main music is great. The main theme is still stuck in my head. It's a great melody line. Da 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 da. There's like a little twist in the melody. It goes into a minor thing, I guess.
Wow, brave boys. Did it in 12.
It definitely made us more grow up, definitely, playing this game. After killing all those guys.
Okay, now Julian's turn.
Okay, I already talked about Banjo-Kazooie, and then I have one more honorable mention, which is Mega Man 2. Probably my favorite video game song to listen to as a song. It's the Dr. Wily stage. Basically like a hardcore song. It's just I can imagine like a band performing it.
So I didn't really think about honorable mentions, to be honest. But the thing that I had on my list before Tetris was Super Mario Land 2. And there's this one stage, it's still a little bit hidden. You have to go through the hippo, you know, the hippo stage, and the hippo would blow a bubble, and you would go to the moon. Then you have like a star stage, and then the moon stage in the end. And the moon stage had this like super catchy kind of dancey early techno-y kind of vibe. Like the highlights like da, 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 and the background would be boop, 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 boop. Yeah, I don't know. I really vibed with that as a kid. Yes, that was a really fun episode about video game music. A lot to talk about, but what we want to know is what is your favorite video game music soundtrack, memorable moments. Tell us in the strange mystical text that will be here later.
It's called Damu, don't act like it's difficult to pronounce.
No, that was not about that. It still surprises me when I watch the videos because, it's never in the videos that I usually watch.
Okay.
Okay, bye bye, guys.
See you next episode.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye, 再见。
再见。